Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal McDaniel, and this is the Naked Singer. Happy Easter, everyone. It's a holiday weekend, and I hope that you have a wonderful weekend with lots of plans with your family and a good meal tomorrow. In my life, in my memory, Easter was always a time when we dressed up and we went to church and we celebrated, and the flowers were always at bloom. And my mama, before we went inside, after we got home from church, we would always take photos, Easter photos of family and our set and the others that were with us in front of Mama's beautiful azalea bed. She always had gorgeous azaleas. And so we always took those pictures outside before we would go in and prepare for that wonderful Easter meal that included her banana pudding at the end. So I hope that you all have wonderful plans. I've been seeing photos on Facebook and Instagram of things that you're doing and the excitement of the Easter egg hunts and preparing your Easter baskets and all of that. So I hope that you plan to have a wonderful Easter celebration as we celebrate the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. I want to talk today about mindfulness. That is our topic for today. And mindfulness simply is paying attention. It literally is as simple as paying attention. How do you pay attention? What are the things that you practice in order to pay attention? And I'm going to give you a quick definition of what attention is. And we're going to discuss that. Attention is focused consciousness. So when we are conscious of what's going on, we're aware of what is going on. Our awareness has to be sharpened. Our awareness has to become laser beam focused on what we want to pay attention to. When I'm in the studio working with young students, one of the things that I notice is how much they actually struggle with paying attention and with not letting their minds wander. And since we've been talking about head games and what head games are and how head games affect us, and when I'm saying head games, I'm talking about the distractions in our head, the negativity that goes on our head, and our focus that goes to that. It seems to me with these young students that they spend more time on paying attention and focusing on the negative voices in their heads rather than paying attention to the job at hand. They're very, very concerned about messing up and making a mistake, so they hesitate. And then the focus goes out the window. Also, I have noticed that when I do demonstrations on what needs to be done as a singer, whether it be a yawn position or relaxing the corners of your mouth or relaxing your tongue root, no matter what those things are, it seems that these young singers tend to skip and miss those steps. And so their focus is on getting it right rather than actually on seeing what is being done. There's this situation that goes on in our minds that they have trouble imagining in their minds what it's like to just do that and to focus simply on the action that's being done. And that is where our copycat memory or our mimicking processes in our brain, which is called pneumatic memory imagery, that is where that just completely gets dropped. So the imagination doesn't happen because they're stuck on what is right and what needs to be right. I think that that's a concern as we are walking through life, that we need to understand and be aware and be mindful of what's going on around us. We also have a very narrow vocabulary for our emotional makeup. So that's a concern as well. As human beings, we tend to only identify 3 emotions. We tend to identify happy and sad or mad, but there are many more emotions that go on. And so when we have trouble identifying, especially these young students, when they have trouble identifying these emotions, then they don't know really what's going on or how these negative thoughts are affecting them, or how even to deal with it and get past the negative emotions. Right now, I guess you can hear in the background my little dog Pippin. He's been trying to get himself comfortable, and now he's hearing a dog bark across the street, and he immediately growls. So his reaction is actually right from the gut. He's like, okay, I hear a dog bark, and so therefore it seems like a threat, and so I'm going to growl back. And in a way, that is where these young singers are. They just simply react, but they don't know why they're reacting. They hear the negative voice, and they don't know why they hear the negative voice. So when I ask them, where is that negativity coming from? Where is that distraction coming from? Why is your attention on that? They literally answer, I don't know. And then we have to go on this Easter egg hunt. I'm going to use Easter egg hunt since it's Easter. Then we have to go on an Easter egg hunt to find and dig where that emotion is coming from. And because our emotional vocabulary is limited to just these things, happy, sad, mad, they just are, well, somebody did something at school today and it made me mad. Well, that's an umbrella feeling. And so if it made you mad, something else happened to cause the anger reaction. So, somehow they felt that they were lessened as a person. They felt powerless, or they felt out of control, or they felt abandoned. There are all kinds of other emotions that we have to understand and know so that we actually can make better contact with ourselves. As a singer, that's something that's highly important, because when we're trying to put a song out in the world, the words that the songwriter use, the text the songwriter use, has different emotions in front of it. So we want to be able to label and identify the real emotions that are going on with us, so that we can tell the story of an actual full human interaction with another person, which makes things much more interesting. When we're able to put a name to an actual emotion, the real name to the real emotion, then we're much more able to relax and keep our focus on the job at hand. And that's not an easy task to do, because you really have to stop and think and make sure that you are paying attention to where you're at instead of just reacting. Like if you go into a store and the clerk in front of you is rude, the cashier is rude to you, don't immediately react just because somebody was rude. That's not about you. That's about them not being able to identify their own emotional problem that's going on. So when we jump straight to anger, or straight to some, sarcasm, or some reaction to them, then what we're saying is that we don't know how we feel either, but that made us feel less. And that made us feel smaller. And so therefore, we're angry now too. And that just really punches those angry buttons, instead of actually paying attention and realizing, well, that just made me feel this way. But just because that made me temporarily feel that way doesn't mean that I need to react poorly to them. And that all has to do with our head game, because our head game and what we actually focus on is really a important part of how we can deal in our everyday lives. There are so many things out there that cause stress and anxiety. And since COVID, things have even heightened in this stress and anxiety. And I think that we need to step back for a moment and decide to think about how we're really feeling. So, exactly how do we do that? Well, some of that is going to happen if you will just stop for a moment and feel your heartbeat. Put a hand over your heart and feel your heartbeat. And feel your breathing go in and out. And just spend 5 minutes in contact with yourself. And then ask yourself, how do I feel in this moment? A lot of times we don't want to slow down in the morning and it's rush, 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 rush. We've got to get the kids to school. We've got to make sure that they are staying on task. We have to make sure we get to work on time. We've got to make sure that there's gas in our car and that our bills are paid and that all the dinners are planned and that we know when our doctor's appointments are. If you have multiple children, then there are multiple activities. And we focus on all those things instead of stopping every single moment and giving ourselves the time to spend with ourselves and settle ourselves. And then look at the calendar and then make priorities. What I do over the weekend is I take my day planner when I have a moment to relax, and I always plan a moment to relax. And then I look at my day planner and I plan out the priorities for the week. And I move things around. And then my husband and I will trade out and say, can you take care of this or will you take care of this? And we just sort of trade them like trading cards. I'll give you 2 of mine for 3 of yours or whatever. In fact, that's sort of a good idea if you take some index cards and sit down with your significant other and say, okay, this week, this is what we've got going on. And I've got a list of all the things that need to be done. And so let's take a look at them and divide and conquer. Let's see who can do what when. And if there's something during the week, and then you just divide those cards out, and each one of you has a task to do on those cards. And then if somewhere during the week you find out, well, you know what? I really can't take care of this one that I have, so that you can say to your significant other, I can't take care of this, but can I trade you this for that? Because I can get to that if you can get to this. And then, you'll find a way to de-stress the situation and take things off of your plate. We do not have to do everything at once ourselves. And that's something that our students need to learn how to do. The young singer students, they need to learn how to realize that with the busy schedule and the lessons that they take after school or the after school sports or the schedule or their homework, they need to make sure that they have time to relax and to make sure that they have themselves organized as well. So sometimes a family meeting will actually help with them and this. And I think that we don't take time to sit down and really listen and really connect with the people that are closest to us so that we can know how they feel and what their needs are. Connecting is really important. And I've been thinking about that a whole lot this week as to what connection actually is and how we can connect with our work, how we can connect with our coworkers, how we can connect with our ideas, how we can connect with our family members, how we connect with our children. And when we really connect and we are really listening, we can actually get closer and accomplish more things. I learned this week listening to a series by Brene Brown. She said the near enemy of connection is control. And most of us are trying to control situations rather than really connect. We spend more time trying to control a situation rather than connect in a situation. Like in a voice lesson, a student hesitates to really sing a piece of music or a phrase from a piece of music because they want to control the outcome. So instead of connecting with the process that will get them the outcome, they are trying to control the outcome. And when you do that, all this negativity and fear comes in. And that's more about your ego than it is about actually connecting and telling a great story, one that will go out into the world and create something beautiful for others to listen to and see. That is just an example of how we try to control things as singers and musicians, where when you're in a relationship, I know with me, I want to help my children all the time. I wish that I could take all pain and all situations away from them. And that's the same with my students and the same with my friends. I just want to be able to take it all away. And so I try to give them ways that are coming from me that actually is me trying to control the situation for them. And so that breaks down the connection. So instead of my doing that now, I'm actually practicing saying, how can I help? What do you need me to do? Because most of the time, people just need you to sit and listen to them and really genuinely connect and empathize with their feelings. So when we focus our attention on how we feel and we focus our attention on what we are doing in the moment and paying attention to our feelings and labeling them correctly, then we're going to end up with a much better result than when we're just reacting and trying to control. That's never going to be a positive ending for us. So I think that really thinking about focusing and paying attention and being mindful, which when I just said that, all three of those things are basically the same thing, that we will find ourselves progressing and moving forward in an easier, more relaxed way. When I'm with my students, we do a thing that's called Feldenkrais. And in Feldenkrais, we're always looking for the simplest, easiest, most relaxed way to function as a singer. And basically, that sets up ourselves to pay attention to body parts and how they coordinate, and finding simpler ways within our muscles to relax and to get different functions to work for us. And then it intently makes you focus on yourself and your body and how the body works. So when you're thinking about that, and we think about how we need to focus, we need to find the simplest, easiest, most relaxed way to do that. And that means taking your focus off of what you're trying to control, because when you're trying to control something, you're causing anxiety, you're causing panic, and you will never get that result. It's a part of perfectionism that is never going to be satisfying. Being a perfectionist is not going to happen. We cannot control something to the point that it's perfect before we do it. When we do something, I've said this multiple times, it is going to be messy. We're going to mess up. It might not sound right. It may not do well. But if you will slow down and pay attention and really think through what you're feeling and how to do those things, then you're going to find that it is simpler, it is easier, it is more relaxed, and the tension releases, and our fear releases, and the anxiety releases, and we are more in the moment, more present, and more able to enjoy what we do. I think that is the best way and the healthiest way for us to live our lives. The mind game that we play always will tell us, get it done, 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 get it done. And so we will continue to race around and race around and race around and focus all over the place, like chasing rabbits. Again, Easter, chasing rabbits. And we can't chase rabbits and really get anything done. We've got to make sure that our focus is on one thing at a time. We do that well, and then we move on to the next thing. Lists are a great way to help you. And when you check things off a list, you see that you are accomplishing something. You can do that in your practice. You can make a list of things you want to do during the week, and then you can check those off after you've done them, and then check in with yourself at the end of the week and see how the song completes. If you have chores you need to do, or homework, or if you have tasks at work that need to be done, and then tasks at home you need to be done, you need to make sure that you write all those things down and celebrate when you get some of them done. If you live by yourself and you feel overwhelmed, talk to some friends. Ask them to come over and help you. Set up a time to get some of these things off of your list. Don't think that you have to do things by yourself. If you identify how you feel and go, wow, this isn't just overwhelmed, but I feel defeated, I feel lonely, I feel not enough. When you do that and you recognize it, then you can decide that those things really aren't true. They're just what you feel. And then you can talk to friends and say, hey, I'm feeling this way and I really need some help. And I bet you bucks, they're going to come and help you and go alongside. We don't need somebody behind us pushing. We don't need somebody in front of us pulling. We need somebody that will walk side by side with us and walk it out and help us. And that comes down to vulnerability. And you've got to be willing as a performer to be vulnerable and let people see who you really are and how you really feel. If we're not willing to be vulnerable ever, then we're not going to have a good connection with anybody. You know, sometimes hiding everything also hides it from ourselves. And you can't just live with a mask on all the time. It's unhealthy. And it's going to, after a while, become such a burden because it's going to feel like you're living in duality. You know, you have all these things that you are when you're by yourself, but then you have to be a completely different person when you're in front of other people. And that's never a healthy way to live authentically and to champion the mind game and to say, checkmate, I've done it. You need to make sure that you're vulnerable. And then that vulnerability helps you be able to escape the negative that goes on in your mind over and over and over and over again. Some of us don't even realize because we are so not paying attention. We are so unmindful and so dismissive of the thoughts and feelings that we have that we don't even realize how disconnected we are. And I have students over and over again that just, they really don't know what they're thinking. They really don't know what they just experienced, and they really don't know how they feel about it. They have no way of actually getting down to the core of what's going on, and that is always going to inhibit you from being your most authentic, best self. We need to pay attention to what's going on inside of us. When we pay attention to that, we're going to be more able to connect with other people. And then we're going to have more empathy. And then we're going to have more love. And then we're going to have more joy in moving forward. We're going to be able to accomplish more because we're not worn out from trying to hide everything and carrying that weight with us all the time. Now, I don't want you to feel like that everything about your story in being vulnerable needs to be told to every person. My mama used to tell me, Crystal, don't wear your heart on your sleeve. And she saw this little necklace one time that had a ruby heart, and it was in a little caged pendant. You could see the heart, but it was inside a cage. And she would say to me, this is the way you need to live. Where people can see your heart, but you're protecting it at the same time. And that has nothing to do with not being an open person. It's just that you are discerning and wise about who you trust your vulnerability with and your story with, because not everybody is a good caretaker of you being vulnerable and of your story. And that's something that we have to practice. Empathy is something that we have to practice. Mindfulness is something that we have to practice. And it isn't bogus. It isn't something that you just go, that is just ridiculous, and how helpful is that? And you try it once or twice and you go, oh, I can't even get my mind to be still. Well, that's because you haven't practiced enough. You have to use your mimetic memory in action, not just the imagery, but the actual action behind it. And you have to continue the action behind it and continue the action behind it until it becomes a part of who you are. And the more you do it, the more stillness you're going to find, the more focused you're going to be, and the more you can pay attention to what's going on with you, the better the singer you can become, the better you can live your life, the better your grades will be, the better your work will be at your workplace, the better human being you will be. And you will have more to give to other people. Yes, it takes effort on our part to do these things. No, it isn't something you should just toss away because you've got such a busy schedule and you have so many things that keep you busy. Sometimes busyness is just a disguise for us not wanting to be able to face ourselves and deal with the turmoil within. The turmoil that holds us back from reaching our goals, from becoming great at what we dream about becoming great at. Let's not lose ourselves within our busyness because we get so busy, and we keep ourselves busy so that we don't have to think about the thoughts that are going on in our heads, because that's what we're trying to do. And then when we go to sleep, they all lambast us, because all you can do is lay there in the bed and those thoughts just go over and over and over and over in your mind about how many different areas you're not accomplishing and that you're failing in. And then you can't sleep, and then you lose sleep, and then the next day you wake up and you go, I didn't get any sleep. It was so hard. Though I just get so much anxiety at night. Yes, because you're not teaching your body calmness, and you're not teaching yourself how to quiet your mind. And it is possible. How do I know this? Because I've done it. I had insomnia for years and years and years and years and years. And a lot of it was because of the fact that all the awful, all the negative, all the pain, all the past mistakes, all the bad stuff I had ever been told just ran over and over and over and over and over in my mind. And it kept me awake. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I still don't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, but when I wake up now, I'm thinking of ideas. I'm thinking of ways to help somebody in their voice lesson. I'm thinking of good things. And then it doesn't take me that long to get back to sleep again. And I can rest peacefully knowing that I feel good about what's going on. And that's because I spend a lot of time daily letting my mind just be calm. If I've got a moment in between things, I just breathe for a minute and go to pay attention to my heartbeat and my breathing and allow my mind to just go calm and my body to go calm. And that's helped me to build more emotional and body awareness in my life. So I know it can be accomplished because I was plagued for so long. And, and honestly, and I'm going to be vulnerable here with you guys and trust that you be trustworthy with this little bit of my story. The voices were so bad in my head that I became suicidal at one point. So thank God for the husband that I have. Thank God for the good therapists that I have. But it was a very difficult time in my life. So those voices just plagued me. The negativity and the thought processes just plagued me and plagued me and plagued me to the point that I just did not want to go on. Now I have worked at it and I am going on. And I know that you can too. Absolutely can. As I said, it takes practice. It takes slowness. It takes you being willing to take another path in your life other than the one you're walking on. And that's how you will get it done. That's how you will become more mindful. And as I said earlier, mindful means to pay attention. I said the definition of attention is focused consciousness. That way you can live more in the moment and be more connected to others. And I think that that's really an incredible way to live. In fact, since we're thinking about Easter, I think that Jesus did that every moment of his life. He walked that out. He always knew what he was feeling. He was always connected. He didn't try to control situations. He just tried to listen and help and love and show people that there was a better way. He stayed focused on his purpose. He stayed focused on being authentically who he is. And he did not listen to the negative voices. And yes, he had them. He had them. If we think about celebrating Easter, we know that yesterday was Good Friday, and before that he was in the Garden of Gethsemane. And believe me, if you can go in the Bible and read what it was like for Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, and you know that he was plagued with negative voices. And it says that he sweat drops of blood. It says that he was agonized to the point of death. So we know he heard the negative voices. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. Again, I want to say happy Easter to you and to all your family. Pippin obviously is saying happy Easter too because he can hear his little collar jingling. I haven't edited him out because I just love my little dog, and when I hear him do that, it makes me happy. His little jingle, 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 because I know that he's just trying to be close to me. So you guys that are dog lovers out there, I know that you will understand that and know that little Pippin is in here. He's my little 10-pound dog that is just filled with joy. He just had a haircut yesterday. Okay, happy Easter to you and your family. Next week, I have a guest on, and I'll go ahead and tell you who it is. It's my best friend in the entire world. I don't even think best friend begins to describe it. He's very close to me. He's a Tony Award winner, and his name is Eugene Brancovianu. He won the Tony in 2002 for La Boheme on Broadway. So he's going to come on, and we are going to discuss head games with him and how he deals with it. He is on the stage weekly. He has students. I can't even begin to tell you how much stuff that Eugene Brancovianu has accomplished in his life. His bio is prolific, and you're going to enjoy hearing him and how he overcomes the negativity and how he wins at the mind game. Okay, until next week, I'm Crystal McDaniel, and this is The Naked Singer. The Naked Singer.